Right, thank you very much, and good evening to everyone. First of all, I'm glad to be here the second time under different circumstances. As you know, I was in Kamunting about 3 years, well, 25 years ago. By the time I finished this, they could put me there the second time. Anyway, thank you very much. I came here on the invitation of our friend here, which I think their program of reform suits our program very well. And therefore, I think it's good for all parties who are looking at reform in the same direction to work together. I was told that it's important for West Malaysians to understand why Sabah and Sarawak are so passionate about their state rights. And especially me, because maybe I was the most passionate of all. That led me into Kamunting even before I became a politician. But I do believe that you need to understand us in order for us to help each other. And to me, Malaysia is in trouble. In a very, very, what I would say, downslide, and we need to save this nation. And to start saving this nation, to save Malaysia, as we see in Sabah, we got to save Sabah first. Why? Because if you don't save Sabah, you may not have a Malaysia. Sabah is really in a mess. Really, really in a mess right now. We talk about the 20 points, but it's not just about the 20 points. We need to understand the spirit of the 20 points, the background to the formation of Malaysia. Because it is with that that we would be able to appreciate what these 20 points and 18 points is all about. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I talk about the 20 points from the background of formation of Malaysia here. Now, if you look at Malaysia, there are 2 parts, East and West. They no longer call it East and West because they are afraid it may end up like Pakistan, East Pakistan, and so on. They are so sensitive about that. But if you look at Sabah and Sarawak, the Borneo states, put it together size-wise, you'll see that Sabah and Sarawak, the Borneo states are much, much bigger than Peninsula Malaysia. And yet, I have seen a map that makes Sabah so small that it appears to be the size of the state in Peninsula. This is not the one, nah. But how was Malaysia formed? We need to understand a little bit about history, okay? Just like that. Okay. You know very well that the idea of Malaysia came from the British initially. And of course, when Tunku saw it as a good idea, then he was the one who implemented it. But all along, the British had this idea of consolidating its powers in this region. And it so happened at the time that the United Nations wanted decolonization. And everywhere, including West Asia, Africa, and so on, this is being done. And so, for the British, they have so many colonies, even in Asia alone, they have all these colonies, including Singapore, north of Singapore, Sabah, the Borneo territories especially. And it is easier for Britain to manage and continue its influence under a consolidated form rather than all these fragmented forms. And therefore, the idea for Malaysia actually started based on two stages. The first stage was for Malaya and Singapore to merge. The second stage was for the Borneo territories to merge to form a federation of Borneo. The final stage would be the first stage and the second stage would merge to form the Greater Malaysia. Well, as you can see, the primary idea was for Singapore to be back together with Malaya. But they have a problem. It has to do with the population configuration of race. And in order to balance that, they look at the Borneo territories as a balancing factor. They were not really that important at that time. But the problem with the Borneo territories is that Sabah was not ready. It needed, according to the British officials, the representatives in Singapore, Sabah or North Borneo at the time requires at least 20 years to be ready to talk about politics and independence. Sarawak, 10 years. Brunei was already just a protectorate state at that time. But when the idea of including the Borneo territories came into discussion, it roused up opposition from neighboring countries. Obviously, Indonesia, because it is the nearest. Said if you want to, if you want to join Malaya, we are slowly asked, we are, same land mass. And the Philippines said, no, you belong to us. And so they state their claims. Now, unfortunately, this was a process that took place until 1961 November, where it all became consolidated as a project, and they went on to look at the project Malaysia, and for the Borneo territories, the British had to take into consideration the obligation to these territories. There were 5 parties to the Malaysia Agreement. Malaya, as you know, not the individual state, but Malaya as a country, as a federation. Singapore, Sabah, Sarawak, and Brunei. Of course, Brunei pulled out last minute, and these were the issues. They sent a commission to study the feelings and the readiness of the people. What they found out was it's supposed to be a referendum, but we can hardly call it referendum because out of 500,000 people in Sabah, only 4,000 people were interviewed, and we don't know who these 4,000 people were. And even that, only 1/3 actually was in favor, meaning that 2/3 of the people were actually not in favor. Okay? So the first, if you look at the idea of Malaysian proposal, it was actually no. The answer is no, no, no. Okay? Second, the British themselves said we are not ready. Okay? So that means a no also. And the leaders in Sabah, Tom Stephen, for example, expressed his concern that this is just an excuse to take over Sabah. The same thing with Sarawak. They want to be independent first and think about it later. Of course, you know about Brunei. Now, in order to address these concerns, Tunku Abdul Rahman gave the assurances that number one, we're not going to take over, you're not going to be colonized, you're not going to be the 12th or the 13th states. You will see all the quotes later on. But later on, these are the reasons, these are the process, and this is why 20 points is important, because without the 20 points, there would not have been a Malaysia agreement. Okay. When the British say you are not ready, we were not ready actually politically. And you will see the quotes later on, and this was the reason why we're not ready. And the answer should have been no right from the beginning. You can see pieces of information at the time from these quotes. According to Sergio, a British High Commissioner in Singapore, it says that all Borneo territories are unfitted to enter Malaysia on the basis of popular representation. And it says it is a necessary condition that from the outset, Malaysia should be regarded by all concerned as an association of partners, combining in the common interest to create a new nation but retaining their own individualities. And there is a warning saying if any idea was to take root that Malaysia would involve a takeover of the Borneo territories by Malaya and the submersion of their individualities, Malaysia would not, in my judgment, be acceptable or successful. So, in order to address this concern, Tunku said that, don't worry, the granting of self-government would enable Sabah to stand on its own feet as equal with Malaya, Sarawak, and Singapore. Remember, equal with Malaya. He didn't mention any of the states, yeah? The important aspect of the Malaysia I see is to enable these Borneo territories to transform their present colonial status to self-government and independence, and absolute independence in Malaysia, simultaneous. And again, he says the days of imperialism are gone, and it is not the intention of Malaya to perpetuate or revive them. So this is again assurance. And this is the concern of Tun Fuad. He wrote an open letter to Tunku Abdul Rahman, and he said that if we had been asked to join Malaysia at the time Malaya achieved independence, and Britain made it possible for us, the story would have been different. Now that Merdeka has been Malaya's for some years, and we are still struggling towards it, the proposal that we join Malaya, the 12th and 13th and 14th states, serves of imperialism and of a drive to turn us into Malayan colonies. He says that we don't want to join as individual state, but we would like to join as a group so that we can negotiate as equal partners, not as vassal states. And Tunku Abdul Rahman say, well, you don't have to worry because you can have a big say in matters in which you feel very strongly about. such as immigration, customs, colonization, and control of the state franchise rights. This is the political rights. Then after that, we got independence. Even though we are not ready, we got independence. And this is what the governor said, the last governor said. Today is a historic day for Sabah. It marks the beginning of self-government and independence and the end of colonialism. This is actually 31st of August, the history day. So we become independent 31st of August 1963. And this was supposed to be the concept of the federation, not a unitary system. And the definition of federalism is here. For you, of course, it's a normal, what is this definition? An association of several sovereign states, yeah? With a central organ vested with powers directly over the citizens of the state and in certain defined circumstances over member states themselves. They would be, there will be a central government and also state governments, but from the point of view of international law, the collection of states forming the federation will be recognized as sovereign state within a family of nations. So, despite all the negatives, why did Sabah agree? And why did Sarawak agree? Because of the assurances given by Takeover. And because of the acceptance of the 20 points. And because also of the fact that in the Malaysia Agreement, Article 8 specified in no uncertain terms actions to be taken to implement those assurances that were not even included in the Constitution. You know, like what Dr. Dr. had mentioned. I would like to ask you whether I need to go through this. Do you know what the 20 points are? No, okay. First has to do with religion. They say, well, we accept that there should be a national religion, Islam, but in Sabah and Sarawak, in Sabah here is referring to Sabah, the provisions relating to Islam should not apply to Sabah. There was no official religion there. Language is a normal thing, but it says here that English should be the official language of North Borneo for all purposes, state and federal, without limitations of time. Immigration, constitution. They cannot simply change the federal constitution affecting the rights of the state without our concurrence. Okay, this is a protection. Head of the federation is a negative for us. We are not supposed to be eligible to be agong na. It doesn't matter. The name of the federation is Malaysia. Next. Immigration. This is a very important power, special rights of the state, where anybody entering or going out of Sabah, he has to have the approval of the state, and the federal government cannot say anything about it except on security ground. Again, negative. Our leaders purposely put that to show their sincerity. Okay? I'm sure it was the result of a back and forth negotiation. And they say, why do you put this there? It is stupid. Yes. Yeah. Yes. But people also say, well, if they don't recognize the rest of it, they also not recognizing this one, isn't it? Sama juga. So you have to respect the whole lot. And then this one is there's no need lah. Begitu kan? Modernization. Supposed to hold the position in federal agencies in the state, but you know what? About 90% of federal heads of departments in Sabah are all from here. There has been what I call Malayanization rather than modernization. And it is still happening, and it's a pity. British officers, it's normal for them. The citizenship also, we are supposed to have a role here, but look what happened to the illegal immigrants. They come in, they're given, we have no say. That means they have violated this agreement. Very important again, tariff and finance. North Borneo should have control of its own finance, development funds, and tariffs. What do we have now? Zero. Special position of the indigenous species, this is okay. Still there. But, you know, as far as the indigenous people are concerned, their rights have been violated. State government, there shall be a ministerial system. Okay, that's why we have ministries there. Transitional period, no more important. Education is another factor which is very important to us. It's supposed to be under the state. The existing educational system should be maintained, and for this reason, should come under state control. Now, all federal. Constitutional safeguards. No amendment, modification or withdrawal of any safeguards should be made by the federal government without positive concurrence of the government of state North Borneo. Of course, there is a controversy there. What do you mean by positive concurrence? Okay? And a lot of these things have been, it has simply been ignored. Representation in Parliament. And very important here, linking us to Singapore, it should not be less than that of Singapore. That's why the Malaysia Agreement is a partnership agreement. They all link together. When one of the partners go out, they have to change the, the configuration again. That's why most people consider the Malaysia Agreement to be null and void. Name of head of state of Sabah, yang di Pertuan Negara. Negara means negara, not negeri, yeah? But again, in 70-something, they changed it. They downgraded us again. And point number 20, this is still intact. Hopefully, nothing changed there. Okay, so these are the 20 points that is important, and if these 20 points were respected and implemented, there is no reason for us to go away. No reason for us to protest and to be dissatisfied. But none of these are being respected. They have been thrown to the dustbin. And Article 8 of the Malaysia Agreement, it says the governments of the Federation of Malaya, North Borneo, Sarawak, will take such legislative, executive, and other actions as may be required to implement the assurances. It didn't even say the agreement, assurances, and undertakings, as well as recommendations. These are all in the 20 points under the IGC. Okay? What happened? Nothing happened. A lot of things happened, but in the wrong way. That's why we are not happy. The first thing that happened is our leaders depended on KL and Malayan leaders. At the time, we were not ready. When you become dependent, you are surrendering your responsibility. And what happened? Harapkan pagar, pagar makan pari. So what happened now? Malaya took full advantage and
veer from the original intention and merely use Malaysia actually merely to take over. Pure, this contrary to what the Takeover Commission said. Should not be a takeover. Didn't honor the agreement, and even in the expulsion of Singapore, acted unilaterally without consulting Sabah and Sarawak. And I would say, personally, that even Britain fell in its responsibility as a trustee to not only when they say they are babies, I mean you are responsible for the babies. They did not. After the agreement was signed, bye-bye. Sabah, of course, felt cheated, and you have been downgraded from an equal partner to being a mere subservient state. Now you can understand the dependency here, because if you look at our leaders, even Tun Stephen was only from 5 in the university. Tun Mustafa was primary 2. So, you know, they could be manipulated. And this is what happened now. They depended and they took advantage. What happened? Even in June 1976, we feel that it was not a fair way of taking the oil. There was some form of, I mean, don't you have questions in your head? We don't like this, our oil, okay? They want the state to surrender these oil resources to the federal. It's a fundamental right of the state. The state say, we don't want. But if you want really, okay, we want 30%. They want 5%. They didn't sign the agreement. The next day, what happened? I don't know whether there's a connection now. But, you know, if the federal government can go to the extent of, you know, overwhelming your mind, who would not send the next day? Yeah? So it might be, might have something to do, I don't know. Okay, that's one. Oil royalty, revenue, 14 billion last year. We only get 5%. Finance. Imagine if we have a proper and more equitable revenue sharing. 50% of that would be 7 billion. Yeah? 7 billion. And you know how much the state is generating as a revenue, state revenue right now? Only 3 billion. From here alone, half of that would be 7 billion. We would make it 10 billion already. That does not include taxes. Now, look at this. Look at our condition there. Kasihan. This one, we talk about it. Now, this is what was supposed to be Malaysia. Okay, a partnership, a federation of 4 parts. But what happened? We become the 12th of the 13th. So, what happened? We have been taken over and reduced to just one of the states. This is our concern now. We want to be restored to our political position. Again, the government originally was like this. We took care, all the local parties took care of the region, and they shared the powers of the federal government. So what happened? Next. The Peninsula political parties go over to Sabah and Sarawak, and we become subservient again through political parties. So what it means is they if you get elected under the ticket of, say, one of those political parties, that means you have to work and follow the policy of the parties. You cannot no longer protect Sabah interests. I give an example. UMNO. UMNO is now controlling Sabah. You may be a local politician, but you have to listen to Najib and UMNO. You can't protect the state because they have to promote Ketuhanan Melayu. Ketuhanan Melayu means they have to control the state. They have to control the state means the state should not have autonomous power. It has to be under. Okay? That's what happened. Now, parliamentary seats. The first thing they did after Singapore left, took away Singapore's seats to make up the 2/3 so that they can change the constitution and take away our rights. And indeed, I didn't put here, but 1970 to 1974, again they created new parliamentary seats, about 70 to 74 of them. And all the seats were located in Semenanjung, not in Sabah, Sarawak. So meaning at the end of the day, what happened? You had in Peninsula 75%, including Labuan, because Labuan has been federalized, become 166 seats on the Malaya, or 75%, meaning they can form the federal government without even considering Sabah and Sarawak. So you can shout and yell, they won't listen to you in Sabah and Sarawak, as long as they have the numbers in Peninsula. And it has been like that until 2008, okay? Now, this is again the unequal distribution of powers. And in the state, the moment UMNO came in, they changed the configuration, and now UMNO become the chong. Apa itu? What do you call that? You take what you want, and then the right, they bagilah. Population manipulation. In 1963, there were no category of the Malays in Sabah. There were Bajaus and Brunais and Sulu, but no Malays. But by 1970, look at this category has emerged. By the year 2000, it has increased by 1,552%. Where did it come from? Don't tell me that the Kabisan Dusun Murut cannot make children. They're not fertile, you know. But again, don't tell me a human being can reproduce this fast. So they say, no lah. Some beranak, some beranak. Beranak, mak. Sweet. Now look at that. 1970, Sarawak had more population than us. But by year 2000, we have increased threefold. Again, Sarawak is less fertile than us. We have overtaken that. Now, there is a danger. Who are these people? Next. 206. Population of Sabah, 3.2 million. Who are these people? Real Sabahan at 1.5 million locals. The rest, 1.72 foreigners. They have already outnumbered us. Who are these people? Okay. Illegals, about 750,000. IMM 13 plus this one, about 80-something thousand. This is the dangerous part. They say 600,000 have been given IC, my card, and this has been counted as law. There is this so-called project, and no matter how they deny it, it is there. It is there, and we want to solve it because look at the trend, the danger in one district, 32,000 locals. This is mentioned by the ministry here. Okay, foreigners 117. We're not concerned about foreign workers. If they follow the law, if they are not being abused, we don't fault them. They have no power. They just recipients. Okay, but it is the powers that be that misuse these foreigners for the interest, the political interest of the government, especially of law. And we can actually identify who these people are. But the government doesn't want to do anything. Now, what happened? We are now categorized as the poorest in Malaysia. 40% of the poor in Malaysia is in Sabah. But if you look at the details, it means that in fact they only take care of the certain groups, and they don't really care about the rest. And this is what happened. Now, revenue-wise, they collect average about 15 billion in taxes. Okay, 15 billion in taxes for Sabah. So imagine if we take 50% of that, 15 billion, how much is half of that? Another 7.5 billion, plus the 10 billion we had earlier, we would have 17.5 billion. Enough for us. And we are not taking 100%. We are sharing the rest to the state and the federal government. But we get nothing here. They take it, everything is going out of Sabah. Tax collection going out. Profit of companies going out. Foreign workers, they remit it to their countries, everything is going out. What is remaining are the problems, unfortunately. Now again, development. The focus of development again is one-sided. This is Semenanjung. These are just examples. 9 Malaysia plan, 200 billion. How much do they give to Sabah? 17 billion. But how much they use here? 180 billion. Less than 10%. This year, Rencana Malaysia kasih 109 billion. Sabah and Sarawak sharing 9 billion. They use here 100 billion. Is that fair? Look at our road. You know, here you have 21,000 kilometers of steel road. Sabah and Sarawak alone, with its geography, 6,000 kilometers. How beautiful. Your roads here, Sayang. Again, this is what is happening, and it's all negative for Sabah and Sarawak. I want you to understand how angry we have become, because this is what happened to us. We have been really colonized, exploited. It's a typical colonial exploitation. But do they realize it? Do they feel it? They don't care. I do. And that's why I'm in trouble. But I don't care, because someone has to point it out. And I hope that, you know, the population, the future generation will understand. Now that they have taken over completely, they even experimented with our chief minister's appointment. Not in the constitution, but they don't care about the constitution. They experimented. This is how they attracted our leaders to come forward and support UMNO. Said, okay, every 2 years rotation, come. So, you know, leaders, they are not really fighting for something, they're just fighting for themselves. They want to have position. 2 years boleh lah, saya bilang bulan pun boleh. So what happened? It ruined the state. Who is going to take care of the state? 2 years. You baru mau duduk, mau understand, habis sudah. So what happened? They will be thinking, 2 years time, habis bermasa, so better fight for myself first lah. This what happened lah. That's how we become very poor, okay? Power sharing, dia dah, by that time, dia sudah tarik semua itu melipit. Okay, no more rotation, ha? Only UMNO, because UMNO, they got 32 seats. Who gave them 32 seats? Themselves. Okay? Now, they become so arrogant, they say, they are saying this to another component, they say, without us, you are nobody. But without you, we are still who we are. You see how arrogant, you know? Even within themselves. And so, this is actually a summary of what happened, and we are nearly already. Why? See? They just comply. Appointment, everything controlled by them. So we have been reduced from 1 of 4, 1 of 3, to 1 of 13. Our resources, our revenue, now divided 1 divided by 13, not divided by 4 or 3. So what happened? As a result of all this, we become the poorest state. Okay? If you look at the development report, the 9 Malaysia plan, we actually the last in development, 14. In those days, before UMNO came in, you know, a lot of talkies go to Sabah and line up to get projects. Today, you see a lot of politicians, Sabah politicians lining up here in KL, looking for projects. It's the reverse. We have become beggars, you know, and marginalized, and so we are suffering. And we feel there is no future. And indeed, I was told by many of my peers, leaders, say, Jeffrey, forget it lah. No more hope lah. Terima saja lah. Political reality. The political reality that they are talking about is ketua ng Melayu lah. Terima saja lah. We cannot fight them lah. Join them lah. Well, I cannot do that. And I feel that if you really fight for something, God will help you. Just like Aceh. Remember Aceh? Fighting for the autonomy and the oil rights, sacrificing thousands of lives. They fought for the autonomy for, you know, berpuluh tahun. But nobody pay attention. The Indonesian central government also not pay attention. Until God sent a tsunami. All the world go to Aceh. Become an internationalized problem. Aceh got its autonomy. After the tsunami, rewarded with autonomy and the oil. In the case of Sabah and Sarawak, we also got tsunami, 208. Okay? God divided the 166 seats in Peninsula. The 75% divided into 2. Suddenly Sabah become the kingmaker. Sabah and Sarawak. Why? Because there is now growing awareness. Everybody now talks about the 20 points. If you talk about it 25 years ago, you end up like me. Okay? Now even the Malaysia National talk about 20 points. Oh, we are implementing the 20 points. Now, of course, with the two-party system, you have choices. not just one. Media is open. You have alternative information channel. And now, with God's help, they have divided, they have become important suddenly. The question is, what did we do with that kingmaker role? What did we do? Nothing. I tell you what they did. Suddenly, the federal government was very afraid. What did they do? You know, 2002, 2008, you know, Rancangan Malaysia Persediaan, they give us the highest allocation for development in our history. 17 billion. Well, we thought it was highest, but when we look at the pokok dia 200 billion, it was peanut. Okay, and then, what else did they do? The PM go to Sabah very often, keep announcing new allocation. Even the NP allocation night. That was because he is aware that this is a very sensitive area already. You can lose your power anytime. If only the leaders in Sabah and Sarawak make their move together. Suddenly, people like Dr. and Maximus, who are only ministers in the Prime Minister's Department, ministers in the Prime Minister's Department, no portfolio. We call them Menteri Jalan-Jalan. No portfolio, not important enough. Today, they were given portfolio, an important portfolio. Sabahan Safi Abdal given a very important portfolio in the Rural Development Ministry. And when they heard Hanifah Ahmad may jump, they gave him the Menteri Luar. A very senior position. And when they heard Ansri Padikar may want to move into SCPP, they gave him the speaker's position. And the deputy speaker also from Sarawak. But what did they do for the state? These are all personal gain. What did they do for the state? Nothing. They could have come together, grouped together, and say, yeah, we are the kingmaker now. Sabah important. Without us, jatuh sudah. So why don't we use this to negotiate with the federal government for Sabah? I'm sure whoever is the Prime Minister will kneel down in front of them. Please lah, what do you want? Okay? But they are not doing it. Why? Because they are trapped in this divide and rule system in the Malaysia. Why? Because they have been groomed over the years to make personal and party interest more important than state interest. So actually, there's no leader fighting for the state rights now. They are all fighting for the interest of the party or self-interest. And that's why we have to find a way out of this. That's why I have to create UBF, United Body Front. Why United Body Front? Because Sabah and Sarawak must move together. They become more powerful if they move together. Because they hold 56 seats. Okay? And UBF is an NGO. Why I don't use political party? Because if I use a political party, those members of the Malaysia National Opposition may say, hey, don't coalition, it's just politicking. Dia main politik saja. So, if I use an NGO, everybody can come without, even the civil servants can come. Now, a lot of teachers within our group, and every district now have UBF groups. And I think it's time. Now the challenge is how do we convince the leaders to unite. So we must make unity as duty. Unity is duty. That is our battle cry now. But we are giving them until end of October. If they don't unite, they're inside, then we have to unite outside. And tell the people to throw everybody out and get a new home. That's the only way. And I think this is where MCLN and us bring together. And this is where, to me, this is the opportunity God has given us. Send us a message, say, now I give them an opportunity, a window of opportunity, make use of it. And we have to make use of it because I know that in the next election, the window will still be there. Peninsula will be split more or less, maybe marginal increase here there, but they still need Sabah and Sarawak to make up the difference. So, Sabah and Sarawak must take this opportunity, and this is the reason. This is the reason I want you to understand. Here in the Peninsula, why Sabah and Sarawak are so passionate this time around that we should form a Borneo Alliance and work together with Pakatan Rakyat in Semenanjung. And Pakatan Rakyat should leave us to fight the battle there. Let them support us, and then it's easier for us to battle it out. Not because we don't want them to stand in Sabah and Sarawak, but it's easier for us to work together because we need to solve this problem. When this window of opportunity closes, we have no more way of reverting back. Maybe another 100 years, maybe 50 years. Then, because God will say, well, I given you the opportunity, you didn't take it. Okay? So, I feel that it is my duty to get this message across. And to make you here to understand, if you want to, that's why if you want to save Malaysia, start saving Sabah first. I know you have urgent things to do here as well, but we need to focus on something. Let us focus on the Borneo agenda, and you focus on Dara reform here. And for us, the MCLN agenda, Rakyat reform agenda is very important, and UBF support them 100%. So, thank you for your attention. Thank you for this opportunity.